Hello everyone, it's me, Juan, Give Me 54 on better video today. That's right, we're now back at it again with the MatPat Appreciation Marathon, and this time it's a long video because MatPat claims that he's gonna make the best soda. Alright. So far the thumbnail was making me questioning mixing Diet Coke and Mountain Dew, so already, we're about to see some stuff. Unholy stuff. But anyways, this is going to be a long video, so I'm just going to say it here. Make sure you like the video so I know you guys enjoy and that, like the video so I know you guys enjoy this type of content. Comment down below what you want me to react to next. I'm taking requests. And, yeah, without further ado, let's go.
The soda fountain. It is the pinnacle of human engineering. It's a symbol of absolute freedom. In this singular device, you have a buffet of flavors, all waiting for you and you alone. And while most will just use it for their daily story or a quick hit of Mr. Pibb, there are those out there who dare to go beyond, to think outside the tap. Those who question the one soda system and instead run down the line without a care in the world, blurring the line between Sprite and Sunkist, having fun with Fanta, throwing in a pop of Powerade or a blast of Brisk. And so today, I salute you, the soda jerks out there, the caffeine cravers who dare to raise a glass to every dispenser in this thing. May your drinks be sweet and your refills be free. Today, my friends, we're testing what it takes to create the perfect soda blend. And let me tell you, it is nothing like any soda you've ever tasted before.
Alright. A bold statement to say the least. Four Theories left.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory, the show that's the perfect blend of everything you need. Now, it's been no secret in my time online that I'm a fan of Diet Coke. And by fan, I mean I'm a hopeless addict to that sweet, sweet battery acid pouring down my throat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a part of my life.
I appreciate you too, Matthew.
Thank you,
you're
Diet
addicted to me.
To this day, one of my all-time favorite memories was being at a gaming convention panel in like year 3 of Game Theory, and all of a sudden the audience just lines up with this huge string of Diet Cokes right in front of me. I think I had like 50 by the time the whole thing was said and done. But you know what actually goes back further than my love of Diet Coke? Yeah, today we're talking about some deep MatPat lore. It's actually my love of mixing all the sodas together. Call it what you want. A hurricane, a tornado, a graveyard drink, a pop bomb, swamp water.
Most likely the graveyard.
An unaliving yourself drink, I guess. Whatever the name, I think it's a universal experience. Walking up to the soda fountain and just running down the line. Going ham as you mix as many flavors together as possible to create the wildest, most unique, most delicious, and sometimes most disgusting drink imaginable. That right there, that was my first true soda addiction. Hanging out at the old Taco Bell in Medina, Ohio with my dad. Each of us mixing drinks and then testing each other to see if we could identify the flavors that we'd put in there. But the cool thing about graveyard drinks, and the reason I wanted to do an entire episode dedicated to them, is that there's nearly an infinite number of options in making one of these soda concoctions. Over years of doing this, I fine-tuned my preferred blend to a science. But just because it's my favorite, it's not necessarily the best. So that's what we're aiming to do today. We're looking at the science of mixology to see if we can optimize the perfect soda blend.
Oh boy.
The most flavors together to create the most delicious beverage possible. Are there certain flavors that blend?
Please don't tell me this video is going to make me try it out at work.
Like this. And let me just say it now, let us know down in the comments what your favorite mix is. Because everyone has their own, and I'd love to try them. That said, what we wind up concocting today, it's certainly something that you should try at home. Also, and can I just call this out? I love the fact that I got done with a 30-day no sugar challenge and just immediately pivoted into this episode. It's like I gotta make up for lost time or something. Anyway, to help me on my quest today, I've got former bartender Santi on the couch joining me to run through a gauntlet of different swamp water variations so we can determine what elements, proportions, and methods deliver the best results. From there, we'll be using what we learned to concoct the perfect beverage in real time. Now, I've given Santi a lot of flack in the past for being a super healthy kind of dude, but this episode showed me a completely different side to him. So, okay, everyone at home knows my vice, which is Diet Coke, right? Are you a soda drinker? Like, what is your go-to beverage?
I am a regular Coke drinker, to the point that it was a problem. I had a friend stay with me one time for like a week, and we went to the supermarket beginning of the week, and I got a 12-pack of Coke, and I had to go back to the supermarket like twice.
Oh no.
And he like, and I didn't realize it, right? And he sits me down at the end of the week. He's like, "Hey, man, I think you have a problem."
No, it's an intervention.
Yeah, no, it's an intervention. he even texted my wife like, hey, I'm gonna have to talk to him about it. And so since that day, I've been drinking Coke Zero.
Okay.
So like,
So much better.
right?
So
Yeah,
much
it's a little-
better. Now, for those of you not familiar with the glory that is swamp water, the true origin
Swamp
of stuff
water?
is a bit difficult to pin down. Soda fountains have been around since the 1800s, and it's not hard to imagine people trying to mix everything together from day one. That said, the swamp water references really seem to start appearing in writing around the 1950s. A newspaper in Paris, Texas first described kids going down to the local diner asking for the stuff. That's right, a newspaper reported a story about a bunch of kids wanting to mix their sodas together. Can you imagine the days when that made headlines? In any case,
Ha.
we can definitely track the rise of swamp water with the rise of youth culture in America. Makes sense. You think about the 50s and you can see the young rascals riding their bikes to their local diner like something out of a Coca-Cola commercial. In the decades since, the drink has evolved with the technological advances of the soda machine. More sodas and more flavors just mean more possibilities. But with the advent of the Coke Freestyle machine, we're no longer limited to just 8 or even 10 options. We have all the options now. It's honestly a bit overwhelming. It also feels a bit like cheating to make swamp water out of those things. So instead,
Really?
today we're just going to be sticking to ye olde soda fountains of yore with the different spigots.
Okay.
Us to round one of our journey, the basic blend.
Oh,
Like
no,
tastes
they are
that we do on
rounds?
this channel to determine winning and losing drinks. This time, Santi and I are really just testing some initial basic mixes to see what works and what doesn't when it comes to hurricane drinks. That way we'll learn stuff like what flavors complement each other, things like that. Then we'll be able to apply those rules in creating our own perfect picture of Pop Bomb. Take me through what we have lined up in front of us today and what we're going to be doing.
Right, so here in round one, we have 4 combinations approved by Burger King himself, the king himself.
The
I
king,
like that
the
Burger
king
is the
approves it.
purveyor of soda mixes in this
The
film,
royal
right?
king
Because
himself.
We all trust Burger King, you know, that restaurant that we labeled as like the unhealthiest fast food in a previous episode, which you can click on screen right now to go check out.
But we don't have their food, so their drinks, you gotta try.
They trying to go
Yeah,
after
trust
my
the
boy.
food, hard pass. So in these pre-approved swamp water suggestions by the king himself, we have the half and half, which is half Diet Coke, half regular Coke. There's the
Okay.
black and white, which is half Diet Coke, half Sprite. The four-way, which is equal parts Diet Coke, regular Coke, Sprite, and Dr. Pepper. Then lastly, the black gold, which is 1 part Coke, 3 parts Dr. Pepper. And immediately, right off the bat, that simple half and half, it was a big win. It's a
Big win. Oh, come on, not again.
doors. That simple half and half, it was a big win. It's a 50-50 mix, and it feels exactly that. Like, I get a little bit of the heaviness, where you have that little bit of sweetness that sticks on your tongue.
Yeah.
But it's not as heavy and all-encompassing on my tongue as I normally feel Coke is, with a little bit of the lightness and the more watered downness that I tend to get out of Diet Coke.
Absolutely, and I think there's a fruitiness to Diet Coke that Coke doesn't
don't mind
have.
me.
And what's interesting about this one, and the reason it may seem simple, but the reason that we included it is because, according to mixologists, regular sugar actually nullifies or counteracts the taste and sweetness of aspartame and sucralose.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm actually really enjoying
No,
this.
I was gonna say, actually, I like this one a lot. The interesting thing about this first mixture is that the body processes the sugar in Coke and the artificial sweetener aspartame in Diet Coke in completely different ways. Aspartame is 200 times sweeter than normal sugar, and it interacts directly with the sweet taste receptors on your tongue. Whereas
Okay.
sugar undergoes an enzymatic breakdown in your mouth, releasing glucose and fructose first, and then activating the sweet taste receptors. This is actually why people who taste regular sugar tend to report it having a more complex, well-rounded, complete flavor. Meanwhile, aspartame is so much sweeter than sugar that it gives many people what they report to be a sharp sweetness. Mixing the two actually balances.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm probably gonna try this at work, and I'll probably make a follow-up video to see what I guys think about this. Oh no! Don't tell me this. Oh no! I'm worried that I'm gonna actually do this.
Out the
Someone
initial
stop
burst
me.
from the aspartame, and then lets the vanilla and caramel notes from the regular Coke really come forward in the back end. So already we were off to a strong start. We were really looking forward to keeping that momentum going with the next one, the black and white. Okay, so yeah, just to clarify, so you're doing Coke and Sprite, half and
Yes.
half, and I'm doing Diet Coke and Sprite. half and half.
Exactly.
But if you want a sample,
Yeah, you know, we've shared it. We've bonded enough on this
you
couch.
don't have mono, do you?
Now, I feel fine.
Okay, great. Oh, that's just COVID. That's,
No, yeah,
that's
fine.
no big deal there.
Wow, those two do not mix well.
No, this is not great.
No.
This is the opposite of great. It's just dissonant. You get
Terrible.
the lemon liminess of it, but you also have the Coke that's mixed in there in in not an insubstantial way. And it's a bunch of competing flavors that don't meld together or harmonize in any way, shape, or form.
It really is oil and water.
So unlike Coke and Diet Coke, which blended together nicely, the Sprite Coke mix was just a dissonant flavor combination. Adding Dr. Pepper into the mix, it wasn't really helping things either. It smells very Dr. Peppery.
It does.
And tastes very
The
Dr.
four-way.
Pepper. Yeah. Yep. It's all Dr. Pepper. This validates what I experienced when I was doing this as a kid growing up in Ohio. Anytime I would throw in a Dr. Pepper, I would have to do like a splash of it. It would just be like a little bit to finish off the top, but it couldn't be a substantial amount of it because it just swallows up any other flavor that it's mixed with. Dr. Pepper is one of those sodas that people either love or hate. Very often,
My
it gets
brother
lumped
loves
into
it
the
a
category
lot.
of root
He
beer
is-
or cola, but Dr. Pepper
he likes
themselves
Dr.
and the FDA
Pepper
won't rule them
religiously.
Neither. Instead, Dr. Pepper falls into the category of pepper sodas, with its unique blend of 23 natural and artificial flavors, giving it a mostly cherry-like flavor. As the lore goes, the recipe is so secret that it doesn't even exist in one singular place. Apparently, it's been split in half and kept at 2 separate safety deposit boxes at separate banks in Dallas, Texas. The doctor, you don't mess around. But I gotta say, after finding this out, something tells me that this is gonna show up as a food theory down the line.
So we have
Something
the
tells
black
me it might
hole.
be
So
the
this
finale.
Is the exact opposite of what you were saying.
Yes.
This is 3 parts Dr. Pepper and only 1 part Coke. Or Diet Coke. in your case.
So you're just drinking Dr. Pepper at this point.
I mean,
You might
honestly,
as well
I don't know
just be
why
drinking.
Burger King would approve this.
Black and gold.
Yeah.
So, all right, sure, fair enough. I mean, it smells like Dr. Pepper, and it tastes like Dr. Pepper.
Do you mind if I taste
No,
yours?
please, of course.
Because, this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, there's a big difference there.
There is actually a huge difference.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one still tastes a lot like Dr. Pepper, but a much more mellower version.
Absolutely.
This is.
It's so
What?
It's too sweet. Like, I wouldn't be able to drink that entire
Oh
thing.
yeah, this is disgusting.
No.
So
Oh.
what we're seeing here is the exact same winning combination from the first mix. The aspartame from the Diet Coke is mellowing out the flavor profile of the sugary sweet Dr. Pepper.
Settle
Contrast
down,
that
little
to
boy.
Santee's mix of Dr. Pepper plus regular Coke, and you have yourself just an elevated sugar content, hence why we perceived it as cloyingly sweet. Regardless, though, it was immediately clear that a little Dr. Pepper was going to go a long way in these mixes, and anything more than just a splash or two was going to overwhelm the entire drink. So the big takeaway was to keep alternative soda flavors like Mr. Pibb low. Instead, to create the perfect unliving beverage formulation, we needed to build off a milder cola flavor as our base. Now,
Okay.
since this wasn't comprehensive enough, we decided to include a 5th option, which included equal parts of all the different flavors that were available.
All of them?
At our local
Oh
gas
no,
station.
this is horrible.
Without even tasting it, just from the smell.
Just call it the pop bomb.
Immediately hit a lot of orange, even though
The soda bomb.
anything with Dr. Pepper won out.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that this doesn't taste like a cherry Fanta.
Wow.
It's just Fanta.
Really? You think that reads as just Fanta? Here, pour me a glass of Fanta if you could. So to me, I taste this one, and it feels almost more creamsicle-y, where I'm getting the orange notes absolutely of the Fanta, but at the edges of it, I'm getting that faint vanilla flavor of like the Coke.
Okay.
Okay.
That's one thing I've always had about like orange sodas. It's got a sharpness to it, which isn't my favorite.
Really?
Really?
Interesting.
Because the Fanta, I enjoy the orange Fanta.
That's crisp. Who loves orange soda?
That's a reference. Yeah, it is. Great. No, it's a great reference.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't before. There is a lot more vanilla than I initially registered.
Yeah. I think about soda a lot. So this is my life. In short, what we were learning was that with the right mix, the addition of Coke was less about the cola flavor and more about the undertones of vanilla. And again, just like with Dr. Pepper, alternative flavors like orange soda really cut through the noise to dominate the overall taste profile. Knowing all of this, we were practically ready for round 2. But
Round 2? Oh, come on.
Like anything.
overall taste profile. Knowing all of this, we were practically ready for round 2. But
All right.
before we moved on, there was one last thing to try. Pepsi.
What?
Lest I be called a Coke fanboy, we wanted to give Pepsi products their fair shake, especially because I grew up running this test with Pepsi fountains at the local Taco Bell, and that meant one
Yes.
thing and one thing only: the addition of Baja Blast. Now, there's
Oh,
good
no.
news and bad news with this one. Bad news: Baja Blast has been for the past 20 years a Taco Bell exclusive. The good news, though, is that for the 20th anniversary of the drink this year, they've decided to release it in stores. So, there wasn't really any bad news there at all. In short, it means that we were able to create the ultimate mix of Pepsi flavors that you could get from the fountain. And it was... Pepsi throws an entirely new angle into this, because Pepsi products, for as much as they're competitors to Coke, are vastly different.
Oh, insanely so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, to me, I actually prefer the flavor of regular Pepsi to
Mm-hmm.
Diet Pepsi, and I prefer the flavor of Diet Coke to regular Coke.
I can see that. Yeah, Diet Pepsi tastes off to me always.
Yes, it feels synthetic, or it feels
I'm
diet
always
soda.
on good
It
Cokes.
feels
Pepsi,
artificial in a way that
Coke, I
Diet
like
Coke
them both.
doesn't. Even though all of this is literally you're just drinking battery acid. Let's call a spade a spade. My gut biome is dying as we speak. The
Oh,
flora
God.
and fauna that exists to give me healthy digestion is slowly keeling over and dying. It had a month of sugar-free living without sodas, and it's like, yay, look at me, I'm blossoming. Matt's gonna be healthy again for 2024.
Nope.
It's like, nope, we still got episodes of Food Theory to do. Just die on the vine, and it is. And that's
No,
what's
see,
happening
Matt,
right now.
no, it gets strong. It's tempered in raw sewage. That is my
You can't
stomach.
keep
This
getting
is-
away
this is
with
nothing.
this. That's just.
Last words. Yeah, this
Oh,
smells
no.
terrible.
This is nothing.
I'm like, oh, this smells like a little bit.
Oh, he's dead.
Like Dr. Pepper.
No,
This smells terrible.
oh my God,
My brother is gone.
that is not good.
Oh, wow. Wow. What? Oh, that is disgusting.
Not good.
Oh, this is wild. How vastly different and vastly inferior this is. Yeah, this drink, it was not great. Somehow this mixture of some of the sweetest sodas on the market ended up with a surprising mixture of bitterness and sourness. There was really nothing redeeming about it. Turns out this boils down to the citric acid. You see, where Coke uses phosphoric acid to add acidity to their soda, Pepsi uses citric acid. This is what gives Pepsi the refreshing taste that they like to tout, but unfortunately it's compounded by the citric acid in the Starry and the Sunkist as well. So the end
Dang.
result is just sour and bitter, whereas the phosphoric acid in Coke actually helps to balance out the citric acid in things like Sprite and Fanta, delivering an
Okay.
overall more enjoyable experience. Needless to say, we decided to scrap most of our Pepsi products before moving forward. With round 1 over, it was time to look at specialized mixes in round
How much
2.
more is
We
this?
narrowed down the field from 6 different drinks to 3.
We're not even halfway down.
To the swamp water. First up was a
Why did I sound like
mixologist's
Doofenshmirtz?
advanced method that Santi found in his research, which took a wide range of flavors but really emphasized the order in which the drinks were poured. This seemed
Okay.
like it would make no difference at all, since it all mixes together anyway, but the idea behind it is to have more sugar-dense sodas sitting lower at the bottom, while the lighter sugar sodas sit at the top.
Oh,
Why would you
okay.
possibly want to do that? Well, supposedly it causes different flavors to hit your tongue in a specific order, leading to an overall more complex flavor profile that evolves as you drink. And
Okay.
That's something that we've actually seen happen on this channel before, in one of my all-time favorite episodes. In fact, the burger stacking episode, where we discovered that the exact same ingredients put in a different order gave you a completely different taste experience. So
All
if
right.
it worked for the burgers, maybe it could also work for soda. Also, from this point forward,
Imagine if that was the
let's play a
most
little game,
popular.
shall we? In our effort to be soda sommeliers, Santi and I did a fair bit of riffing off of classic wine tasting tropes. So go ahead, make your own swamp water, then take a sip anytime we say the word forward. See how many gallons of soda you make it through. Also, let us know in the comments how many times we said it, because I'm not going to keep track. Ready? Go. I mean, it's a fruit cocktail. It's very different from round 1 because this is a very fruit-forward...
I don't want to do it. I'm being honest. The fact that he say do it, shoot, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe if you guys enjoy this video, I'll probably make a follow video where I actually do this and take a drink. We'll see.
beverage as opposed to
One.
which tended to be much more Coke, Diet Coke facing. It is a very pleasant fruit punch. I understand why someone at a bar and who works as a mixologist would find a lot of success with this. If I'm going for a graveyard drink, unaliving myself beverage, whatever, I'm looking for more of a cola forward one. This isn't getting that. But it's a very good version of a very different type of drink. Already you could tell that there was a more sophisticated, complex flavor profile in this drink. This was the first time that we were really getting hit with different notes at different times, even if they were mostly fruit-based. In short, the layering technique actually worked. Despite being equal parts of all the different drinks, the Coke at the top really made it take a backseat to the heavier drinks that hit our palate first. It's cool to get this perspective, because like I said, my beverages, whenever I would do this, always had a very specific kind of flavor profile to them, and I would just kind of like crank things here or there to kind of try to optimize it. I would try to emphasize like more of the colas, the caramels, the vanillas, not the fruit. And this is a very good version that like dials up the fruit, which is
Okay.
Right, which makes sense, right? Mixologists, just like chefs or anything, they're trying to give you the whole package in what you consume. It's really light, it's really refreshing, and cover your ears, kids. It kind of tastes like a Long Island iced tea.
Cool. Your ears, kids.
Yeah, earmuffs.
Clearly, Santi became real familiar with all different types of drinks in his research for this episode.
So where'd you find this? When you say mixologist recommended, did you just go to a bar and like, hey, what do you do? Or like, did you find this online or what is this? Yes, I did a lot of research by going to a variety of bars and just asking them to make me drinks. No, I'm kidding. We actually, it was a rough week of research.
It was a rough week.
He wasn't responding to emails. We found him in the gutter somewhere. He's like, I got it. I got the perfect mix.
Honestly, you gotta admire the commitment to the craft. But now, with a new variable at play, it was time to taste
Well played,
my
sir.
personal
Well
mix.
played.
In
Ah.
It was time to taste my personal mix. In general, I tend to like my unaliving beverages skewing more heavily towards the cola flavors, so I split it up with a 2/3, 1/3 ratio. On the bottom, 2/3 is an even mix of Diet Coke and Coke. The top third is Sprite with just a little splash of root beer and Dr. Pepper thrown in at the end to keep it from overpowering everything else.
Oh,
Honestly,
no.
I am tremendously proud of this mixture. I've been
Are
drinking
you
it for
sure?
literal decades, but never really served it to anyone else. It felt like I was standing up naked in front of the class.
Can't wait to judge you. I know, right? I'm actually very nervous that I've never had anyone else ever sample this. I can judge myself, obviously, but, you know, I lay myself at your feet.
Same. I can
So
judge
this is
myself,
interesting for me,
but I don't like it
because
when
I think
people
Dr.
judge me.
Pepper, I'm learning here, needs ice. Because it's really mellowed it out. And I'm getting the sweetness of Coke, but that's it. It's very Coke forward.
Agree to disagree there, Santi. Maybe your palate just isn't refined enough.
The one thing I will say, to my credit, just to defend myself, I actually get the vanilla notes more out of
Defend
this
yourself.
than I do in any of the other ones so far. I will agree with that. Absolutely.
As a guy who's always loved the flavor of vanilla, one thing I never realized was that my preferred mix here really highlights those notes from the Coke and the root beer. By using Diet Coke as a key part of the base, it negated the sugar that was coming in from the regular Coke and the Mr. Pibb. This then allows the more complex flavors of vanilla and caramel to take center stage.
I love
All
that
right.
it hits different notes at different times. Like it's vanilla forward, you get a little bit of the root beer in the back towards the end of the sip, some of that Coke in the middle, just the like tiniest hint of the Sprite around the edges. It hits you, and that's it. It's a very good flavor, very cohesive, but once you taste it, that's it, goes down, nothing more. Here,
Nothing more,
is
yeah.
what you're saying. There are those waves. For me, a much more enjoyable experience.
Now you're just sucking up to me.
A little bit, but kudos.
Santi's butt kissing aside, I loved my mix. I still love my mix. And I
Not
stand
his-
by the fact
not
that
the
it was
butt
most complex
kissing.
layered drink that we'd
Could
had up
never
to this
be
point.
me.
That said, while we disagreed about the overall flavor, we did agree on some major factors here.
I know I'm
One,
gonna
ice is
make a
huge
lot of
difference
comments
maker.
saying,
Two, layering
but
does
you are.
work. And three, Coke and cola flavors add more overall complexity for a more enjoyable experience. So long as they're not Pepsi. The bitter rivalry between the two continues. And hey, if you want to
Dang.
see some of the weird history behind these two, make sure you check out our Soda Pop Conspiracy playlist after you're done here.
What?
A lot of episodes about both of these products and also how they don't get along all that well. But as far as Swamp Water goes, there was still one more that we had to test for this particular round.
I'm not the only one being judged in this episode. Sam, our Michigan grandpa behind the scenes, he has also laid himself at our feet to be judged. Come defend your mixture here. So what do you got?
Your masterpiece.
Traditionally, this should be made with Wendy's High C Fruit Punch from the fountain. So I was addicted to that. And I also was a fiend for the fizz.
Yeah.
Right? The fizzler, if you will.
Fizzler, the fizz fiend.
I have been kneecapped.
The Fizzler.
I
No.
am the Tanya Harding of today. I, Tanya, and I was given Mountain Dew Code Red.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to invert my proportions because the Mountain Dew is so much sweeter to me than a traditional Sprite. And the High C Fruit Punch
Yeah.
was a lot more mellow.
To say high C fruit punch is mellow is one of the most insane things I've ever heard anyone utter.
So this is now 1 cup Sprite,
Okay.
1/8 cup plus 1/16 cup of Mountain Dew Code Red.
Hold up, did you not add your fraction?
I was a film major.
Oh no.
What fraction of blue is in this?
Oh
You
no.
might not be aware,
It's
this is the man
over.
that studies our analytics on a regular basis, delivering a monthly report of our numbers. Guess I'll be double checking those from now on. In any case, the Sam
Oh,
special
no.
was a
Good
very
Lord,
tasty
it's
drink,
over.
but as far as the assignment
I'm
went,
praying
it was
as we
just two
speak.
ingredients, so it wasn't really hitting the mark for what we were going for with the swamp water. That said, it did give us more insight into just how weak Sprite is as a flavor when mixed in with something stronger like Dr. Pepper or Mountain Dew.
When it comes to schlorps, I don't know, I'm going to make up names now. Instead of swamp water, we should call it Shrek water. Shrek water.
The Shrek water.
Shrek water.
Donkey.
Swick water. Ooh, it's swick water.
Yeah, The sugar definitely starting to hit us at this point, which meant that it was finally time to take everything that we'd learned and create in real time our ultimate mixture. So I can tell
The
already
final
that there's gonna be
mix.
some comments down below about the fact that we had to use bottled sodas to make our Schweck Wada. Obviously, plastic bottles, as we've established in previous episodes, are the inferior way of drinking soda. But just by the nature of this challenge, we couldn't take all our camera equipment into a McDonald's or Taco Bell to do these tests on the spot. So in order to
Yeah.
maintain the quality of carbonation and flavor for all the sodas across the board, we decided to stick to the standardized bottle for the experiment. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. You may still be mad at me. I'm
Dang.
standardized bottle for the experiment. Thank you for coming to my
So funny how they were saying like we can't take our equipment to the stores, and I just get like an ad for Wendy's.
TED Talk. You may still be mad at me. I'm curious, kind of like, what is your strategy going into this? What's your aim?
My gears have been turning here because I'm trying to remember everything that we've learned over the past 2 rounds. You know, obviously we have ice because we can just universally agree ice made everything a lot better. I think from a base standpoint, I want to have mostly cola or dark sodas. I think Dr. Pepper and Coke are really going to be the core foundation of the best swamp water drink. And then in that final, quarter, whatever, the rest is where the playground will happen.
In the
All
true
right.
spirit of this challenge, the more sodas that you're able to cram into your formulation, the better, right? Because that is
Yeah.
the essence of this, right? Going down the line, figuring out like what combination of 3 or more sodas really gives you that like very unique flavor that you can only get through this style of drink. Now, Santi and I ended up going in with very similar strategies. Having learned in previous rounds that order of pour matters, we both had to map out our flavor experiences precisely. In the end, we both kept the stronger flavors like fruity Fantas, spicy Dr. Peppers, and punchy root beers at the bottom. As for the rest, well, that's where our proportions started to differ. Yours is much more root beer forward, though, than mine is. Because I've incorporated everything except for Diet Coke, Coke, and then I could probably add a bit more Sprite to it.
I'm
All right.
regretting it because I put the root beer now at the top, so I think I really need to drown that out. What I'm gonna do is actually start with Diet Coke and see how that interacts with everything else.
As we kept
Okay.
mixing and pouring and testing, we kept seeing one element come up over and over again as making the most difference. The pour order is making a pretty substantial difference.
100%. The more I play with it, the more I'm surprised by this. It's funny because now that I've
Imagine
poured
they have, like,
Coke
plastic
and Diet
cups
Coke,
already
the
down
root beer that was
below
very
them.
root beer forward,
And we're at
starting to
6 right
fall
now. I didn't
into the
really
back
pay
of the mouth,
attention. I
which
stopped paying
really
attention
like,
right
but I
now.
think I messed up. I don't think Sprite should go at the top.
Right, you really have to plan this out. And now that I've mixed them all together like I just did, it's too dissonant. I don't like it. What we learned throughout this process is that swamp water is a very delicate balancing act. Just a bit too much of one flavor or a flavor poured out of order can throw the entire thing out of balance. But right before we were starting to lose hope, Santi pulled out what he was hoping would be the trump card. A new challenger appeared, and its name was Powerade.
I'm gonna
Powerade.
Okay, something that you don't see on every soda fountain, so we didn't include it, but you will sometimes. And that
It's Powerade.
It is always blue.
You know what? I don't think that's a mistake. I think that is a sign from the swamp water, Shrek water, graveyard drink, pop bomb gods.
Wow. Well,
Wow.
Now, right?
like a little Dr. Seuss with those.
It's all the sugar that's coursing through my
Right on! I gotta say I was pretty skeptical. How could some flavored water be the maker or breaker of our pop bombs? But from a scientific perspective, it made sense. When you break it down, the problem with graveyard drink is that it quickly becomes overpoweringly sweet. Sweet cola plus sweet other cola equals just more sweetness. That's why the Diet Coke and ice wound up being so important in all these mixes. They lighten up the flavor and mellow out that sweetness. But one other way of balancing out the flavor is by mixing in something that isn't just pure sugar. The Powerade being full of electrolytes adds in a light saltiness to the mix, counterbalancing the top portion of sweet and acidic Coke.
The Powerade makes a difference. Makes a really big difference.
Yeah, here, sign me up.
Sign.
Ooh, that is very Powerade forward.
It is.
In smelling it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is Powerade.
It is.
This is powerful.
But not when you taste it.
It also looks mildly greenish. Oh, gangrenous. If you wanted swamp water, it looks a bit like swamp water, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Wow. This, to me, tastes like drinkable cotton candy with vanilla notes in it. It's kind of delicious.
It's kind of good.
I
What?
kind of love this.
Right?
It's really good.
Is it that
Burns
good?
really well. It's a complex flavor, which I like, and it doesn't feel like especially heavy.
Yeah, I think my final verdict on this, finish it off with Sprite, Coke, and Diet Coke. That is my swamp water.
So there you have it. We cracked the code to swamp water. All it took in this balancing act was one final element of salty blue to tie it all together. In
Okay.
short, Santi's mix, which shall henceforth be known as the Santi Supreme, was 1 part Dr. Pepper, followed
Okay.
by splashes of Baja Blast, Code Red, and Fanta, 1 part blue Powerade to round out the fruity flavors, followed by Sprite, Coke, and Diet Coke in that order for the ultimate swamp water flavor experience. The most
Okay.
important lesson, though, at the end of the day, is that pour order matters the most, followed by proportions, then complementary flavors, and finally the temperature of your drink. With those elements at your disposal, you can go forth and find your favorite way of making your own graveyard drink, or hurricane, or unaliving yourself beverage. So what I would encourage you guys to do down in the comments below is, do you have your own equivalent of the Sam Special or the Matt Pat Mix?
No.
The Matt Pat Mix.
Ooh.
Probably should have thought of that in round 2, but better late than never, I suppose. Maybe we could work it into VO. But anyway, do you have your own version of the swamp water, the graveyard drink, the unaliving yourself beverage? Let us know down in the comments below, and who knows, we might...
God, that's horrible.
Or Santi might do a whole other episode about it. I think we've given you the tools and some rough guidelines to kind of optimize your next soda fountain order. So I think that's it for me.
Oh, sure. I'm pretty sure I might be able to do this at work. People gonna look at me funny.
Is making me go a little bit crazy. So I'm gonna go and process the sugar that's coursing through my body. And as always, my friends, remember, it's just a theory. A food theory. Bottoms up. And hey,
Alright, and that's gonna be the video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Juan Gamer 54, signing off.